All right, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? My name is Amal. I am the owner of the Alpha Trades community, and today I'm going to do a top-down crypto analysis for y'all with a lot of good information to help you understand where I am in the market in terms of positioning, why I'm still bullish, and why you need to take a look at the bullish side of the scenario, even though the market looks like shit right now, right? We all know that the past few weeks and the past few months have been pretty brutal in the market. Since the beginning of the year, we opened BTC somewhere around 46,000 or so, and we started to break down. And so far in crypto history, Bitcoin has never spent more than 30 days under the yearly open. Okay, so here's the 2022 yearly open right here. Currently, we're about 4 months into the yearly open. So this is definitely a precedent that's been set for a long time. But what exactly is happening right now that could still make us be optimistic for the remainder of Q2? Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few things. First, I want to give y'all sort of a news picture of what happened in the last day or two to give us a better idea why crypto itself, why Bitcoin itself is still attracting attention from bigger institutions, banks, governments, etc. Okay, first things first, this was huge news. Fidelity is allowing retirement savings accounts to allocate Bitcoin into their 401ks. Okay, so the 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, these are all styles of retirement accounts here in the United States. This is a very big thing because Fidelity is also one of the largest AUMs, assets under management, for retirement pension accounts and just general funds. Fidelity allowing such a big thing like Bitcoin to be within your retirement account is massive. This is now going to pave the path for other bigger retirement funds and institutions. Charles Schwab, BlackRock, maybe JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, right? This is one of the big steps that we've been waiting for years. But guess what? It did not really matter in crypto, right? It did not matter in crypto yesterday. It didn't matter all of last week. It's not like price started to go up because of this news that's about to come out last week. In fact, price has been continuously going down. Now I'm going to explain that in a little bit, but let me just get through another piece of news, okay? The Central African Republic also adopts Bitcoin as legal tender. It's the same thing, the same trick of the trade that El Salvador went through to adopt Bitcoin as their legal tender. Now, you could make the argument that these countries do not really have a large GDP and they may not be using Bitcoin all that much, but the point is it's still a step in the right direction. So the Fidelity news paired with the Central African Republic news adopting Bitcoin as legal currency are two big pieces of news. But why did it not matter for price? Well, I believe that price is right now still dominated by the macro, right? Remember, I pointed out a little while back how if you look at BTC, okay, it is heavily correlated to the stock market, specifically the NASDAQ 100 index. And guess what? The NASDAQ, the S&P 500, they've been getting absolutely crushed since basically the beginning of the year, right here. And most of the tech and growth stocks, which is what NASDAQ is actually comprised of, has also been getting destroyed the last few weeks, right? Even big stocks like Google, okay, if you look at Google right now, look at where Google is as of today, okay? Markets open, Google is down, as a gap down candle. That's bad, okay? That's really, really bad. But, same thing, Microsoft, right? Also down quite a bit over the last few months, okay? I don't know, good assets like NVIDIA, also not looking too hot, right? TSM, Taiwanese semiconductor company, also down a decent amount. The point is that everywhere you look in the tech and growth sector of crypto, of the stock market, it looks very similar to what's happening in crypto, right? So what this tells us is that there is a larger de-risking happening across the board. However, it's not a de-risking out of panic or out of, you know, sheer desire to just completely let go of all positions. I believe that there's sort of a repositioning happening in the market. And this is where I start to get into the time frame analysis. Okay. If you look at my thread right here, brain dump of my thoughts, I posted this on March 19th. And I talked about a few things regarding, you know, bull market euphoria versus bear market, and which time frames that you're looking at the market in, right? The larger time frame is that we are currently in a larger bear market, and we're ignoring the bad news, and we're somewhere between ignoring the bad news and denying the bad news. Okay, so we're probably somewhere in the middle. And why is that? Well, if you look at the macro environment around you, inflation, commodities issues, high prices due to commodities issues and supply chain issues, China now having COVID, Russia and Ukraine war, right? Oil prices at an all-time high, which further creates downward pressure on commodities and consumer goods. All these things are, and interest rate hikes, all these things are creating a larger sell pressure on the risk assets, such as US stocks, such as crypto. Okay, that is abundantly clear. Everybody knows that is the context of the environment that we're in. However, the small time frame is a little bit different. Okay, so the small time frame, I believe that we are actually somewhere between accepting the bad news, but ignoring some of the good news. Now, like I just pointed out to y'all, we ignored the biggest institution for pensions and retirement, such as Fidelity, allowing Bitcoin as part of their retirement plan. We ignored some of the selling that's happened over the past few months that has brought Bitcoin basically to a sideways price action. We ignored Central African Republic accepting Bitcoin as legal currency, right? So small time frame, I believe that this is kind of where we are. In a written way, I pointed out to my Advantage members, right, around April 5th or 6th, that we've probably finished the first drop in the market. I kind of expected the second drop to stop around 43 or 41K, but we went deeper. And the fact that we're going deeper means that chances are pretty high that we might get all the way down to about 37,000. Okay, that is this point of liquidity where all these stops are sitting, right? Stop right there, stops right there, and stops right there. Okay, so all this is kind of telling me that, okay, it looks like, you know, the bears still have a lot of selling to do, but at what point could they hit basically a brick wall, right? Well, a brick wall is probably hit to the point where longs had previously established their positioning and they're not going to budge, meaning they're not going to sell out of their position no matter what. In fact, they might double down and buy some more. At that point might be that $37,000 level. Okay, if you look at the compression of this funnel right here happening on BTC, right? If you do get that one sweep another time and then you quickly pop back in the wedge, this is something that BTC has done the last few weeks, which is it breaks these patterns, making you think that we're going to start breaking down further and further, but it quickly recaptures that pattern and just starts, you know, up on its merry way. Okay, so look for a scenario like that around 37,000 flat. Going back to the short time frame analysis, right? So we had the first drop in the market. We went deeper than anticipated, but if the market does not drop around here, I talked about this at the beginning of April, we might look for another 10 to 20% drop in alts. We've obviously done more than that, right? Since the beginning of April, most good quality alts are down, you know, 25, 30, 35%. AVAX, perfect example, down from almost 100 to 70, right? So that's a easily 30% drop. Near down from 19 all the way to 12, almost a 35, 40% drop. Luna, again, down from 120s to about 88, right? Again, another 35, 40% drop. Solana, same thing, down from 140 down to about 97, 35, 40% drop. So I think we've probably satisfied my metrics of the scenario, but further pushing them into the deeper negative territory, right? But in this pullback, I also stated that I wanted to be a buyer. And guess what? I did become a buyer, okay? But I became a buyer a little bit too early. I became a buyer for Solana around like 105, 110. I became a buyer for things like, a near position that I think I had levered trade around like 13 or 14. AVAX, I think I got in around 80, 85, right? So some of the other assets that I got into, I got in a little bit early, and it sucks because you have to go through the pain of having a further drawdown without knowing, where the light is at the end of the tunnel. But the problem with that is that you will never really know when that light at the end of the tunnel is going to come. Because if you have a thesis like mine, which is, yes, maybe April is going to suck. I don't know, maybe also May might suck, right? But if your thesis is that the market is aggressively oversold, right? And we are also going through this cycle where on the small time frame, we're accepting the bad news, but we're ignoring the good news, okay? If we're in this context, I believe the market is heavily oversold, okay? And I wrote up my thoughts on this a couple of days back, just as like a small thread. Let me see where I can find that real quick. Okay, so, I was mentioning how tech and growth stocks last week were down a lot. However, BTC and crypto actually held up okay. I mean, that's a huge sign. Even right now, if you look at TSM, which is by far the best semiconductor company in the world, in the entire world, okay, and literally like almost every electronics company, semiconductor company like AMD, NVIDIA, all these companies depend on TSM. Okay, so this is by far, one of the best companies in the world. Yet it still looks like this, right? Versus BTC over the last few months, it kind of looks like this. Okay, this is the structure of BTC. So you can kind of see that there's something weird happening in the market, which again, I don't quite know exactly why that is. I have an inclination, which I've mentioned before to my Advantage members, but at the same time, whatever it may be, the price is clearly telling you that, hey, something else is happening in the picture, and we need to be paying attention in the crypto long side because crypto is holding up much better than some of these other assets in the stock market, right? And these are not, these stocks are not like your Robinhood or Peloton or, some other garbage stocks from a year or two ago. These are good stocks that almost the world depends on, okay? So clearly the market is saying that, hey, in terms of structure, BTC and a lot of cryptos are still looking relatively healthy compared to the other peers in the stock market. Okay. So my expectation is in the middle, medium time frame, right? I expect the market to trade up in the rest of Q2. Now, so far, April has been a dud, right? Like it's not like I've seen any price action worth noting. But April is also not done. We got 3 or 4 days left in April. Crazy things can happen in the 3 or 4 days. You guys know that very well. So point is, I'm going to stay long. I'm going to see out my thesis and see how it's going to play out into the rest of Q2. Okay. In the larger time frame, however, I think once we do get that big extension up in the market, as I stated right here, into Q2, I expect BTC optimistically to hit maybe 52K, as high as 58K. That would imply, something like AVAX to hit, I don't know, 115, 130, somewhere up here. I was expecting ETH to get back towards like 3,700 all the way to 4,000, at some point during Q2. Solana, I was hoping to get to like 150, 175. So point is that there is still a pretty good risk to reward trade when it comes to looking for upside in the market. Okay. The point is, when do we get that upside, right? Are we going to go down further before we go up? I mean, is the market going to make us panic out of our long positions, force, us to rethink our bullish bias and then it goes up? Generally, that's how markets are, right? They will make you feel the most pain in either direction before they turn around. And I think we're pretty damn close to that maximum pain point, especially in crypto. Okay. Now, again, the thought process of me looking at my thesis can always be wrong, right? Maybe we've already begun our dump from this, 48, 50K area down to 30K. Maybe that's what we're heading towards. And I don't know, maybe people are just too delusional to understand that. I just think that the market has been anticipating that drop, for several weeks, for several months rather. And more often than not, when most people kind of expect the market to break down in a direction, especially when the environment around them is so clear, meaning you have Russia and Ukraine war, you have inflation, you have interest rate hikes, you have supply chain issues, you have the Fed tightening, you have the stock market going down. When all these things are already negative, right? The market already knows that majority of people are expecting this. And guess what? That is reflected by positioning, right? Bigger funds, bigger retail, high net worth individuals might already be positioned short, or they might have sold already. So if they've sold already and people are short, well, then the market finds it easier to actually go up because there's less resistance on the way up and more people to squeeze out in the market on the way up. That is one of the more fundamental reasons why I also believe that in the short term, we're going to head on up into Q2 towards these targets. Okay. And then, of course, key altcoins, I would expect at least at minimum some alts to go up 30%, other alts to go up 50 to 100%, right? We'll see. Okay. We will see. Now, correlations wise, like I already explained, right, we're heavily correlated to the NASDAQ. And then, of course, BTC itself is heavily, these altcoins are heavily correlated to BTC. So, more often than not, on a day-to-day basis, what I pay attention to is top-down analysis of what's happening in the stock market, what is happening in the DXY, which is the dollar index, right? The dollar index keeps ripping like this. I don't know, the market is going to get completely annihilated, over the next few months. However, I personally think that the dollar index is near-term topped. Okay. But I also thought that like 3 or 4 months ago. So clearly I was wrong, but we're coming into an area of the dollar trying to break out of this wedge. Hopefully we get a few months of consolidation right here, right? It's kind of like, looking at any breakout, right? When you see a breakout like this happening, you're hoping, okay, do we get a retest? Do we get a consolidation like this for a few months before it pushes it up again, right? If that is the thought process, that retest, that little consolidation like this for a few months could be the relief that we need for the stock market, for crypto. Okay, that's what I'm ultimately hoping on. So if the dollar consolidates, I will probably see, most stocks and most cryptos take advantage of that. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's really about it. The other sort of heat map data that I pointed out before is if you look at, these walls, right? These walls of support that first help, BTC create a bottom here in July and June 2021, more often than not, like when you start seeing these walls on an exchange like Coinbase or Bitfinex, that's pretty darn close to the bottom. Okay, and you're starting to see these walls stack up again. Obviously not as heavy as they were back here, but a decent amount of stacking happening. So let's hope that prices start shifting up and away from here, because that would sort of be the ultimate situation where, price action is giving you, this passive, buyer activity that, hey, buyers are ready in case prices drop. But maybe prices aren't going to drop. Maybe these guys have already created a bottom because they've basically absorbed a lot of the supply, a lot of the sellers all the way down. Okay. Also, this to me right here, this grinding down like this before the pop looks very, very similar to what happens right here, hopefully before we get a pop. Okay. So just something to pay attention to. All right. Talked about correlations. We talked about, short time frame versus medium versus larger time frame. Obviously, take this analysis on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Stay flexible. I never really marry a bias in the market. I am completely okay from going long to short. It's just I don't see a reason to do that right now. Okay, I post a lot of my analysis of my videos and stuff right here in the Advantage community. We have a 5K challenge. Last year, we ended the 5K challenge from $5,000 up 470%. So about like 27 or 28K. This year, we're currently down in the 5K challenge from 5,000 to about 4,300 or so. That's a 15 or 17% drop so far. But, you know, if you compare that with, like, say, if you were just hanging on to altcoins, altcoins are down 30, 35, 40% from their highs at the beginning of the year, right? So point is, like, we're still doing better than just if you were holding your altcoin portfolio, you know? So the goal again is to outperform BTC and hopefully ETH by the end of this year. I got 8 more months to go. Okay. I've been doing this shit for a long time. I am patient. I'm never looking for that lotto ticket in anything. We do not high leverage in this community. I don't teach, you know, financial advice. I don't allow people to copy trade me. My goal is to simply show you how I trade in the market on a day-to-day basis. And I do this in the Advantage community right here. You go to thealphatrades.com, hit the products page, join the Advantage member subscription for $97 per month, right? $97 per month gets you access to our entire Discord community, 2 videos a day, multiple points of analysis in each of these channels where I write down whatever my thoughts are regarding BTC, regarding altcoins, what setups I might be seeing, what is you know, analysis coming out or, you know, data coming out for specific altcoins, right? All this stuff I give to my Advantage members. Okay, so if y'all want to join, go to thealphatrades.com, products page, in the Advantage membership. Or you could sign up for my technical analysis course for $19.99. You'll have this course forever if you do sign up, but you'll get 7 free days in the Discord private community. All right, if you do sign up for the technical analysis course. All right, that's all I got, folks. You know, not really a whole lot else going on. Obviously, you know, NFT space is blowing up. I told Advantage members about the DGOTS community all the way from November last year. This is one of our 100x trades right now, which is doing phenomenally well. You know, in the NFT space, I know the NFT space is very tough to trade. You know, but there's other assets that I'm also paying attention to. The OK Bears collection is also doing really, really well. I think some of our members pointed this out in the NFT area. Yesterday, they were trading at 11 or 12 SOL. Today, they're trading at 60. So you're already up 5x. We pointed this out. Some of our members pointed this out here in the NFT section. Okay. So all in all, we're a pretty active community. We do not shill, you know, garbage. We do not make other people buy, you know, stupid altcoins or, you know, buy our bags or any of that crap. We're a community of mature people who are looking to analyze the market and trade it successfully on a day-to-day basis. If you are someone who wants to join this kind of community and learn, contribute, grow with us, come join our Advantage membership. I'll see y'all here. Hit the thumbs up in the YouTube video if y'all like it. Leave me a comment of your thoughts. Anything else you want me to cover? Until then, cheers, everybody. Have a good rest of your week.